Hey guys, I'm Adam Ronin. Today is our first Ronin Game Reviews that we're going to do, me and Timmy here. We're going to do our first game for Mortal Kombat X that came out on April 14th of 2015. Stick with us, we're going to break it down. Alright guys, I'm Adam Ronin, this is Timmy TJ Combo here. We're going to start out reviewing Mortal Kombat X. We played it on both platforms, Xbox One and PS4 respectively. Okay, so we have 9 segments. Each segment is worth 1 point minus the final segment, which is worth 2 points. At the end of it all, a game or a title can get a maximum of 10 points, which is going to be, of course, the ultimate scale. And we will have separate scales, so you can kind of
separate score, get a feel for what we're doing here. Yeah.
You could watch the review, and if you agree with me, then, you know, fuck him, and if you agree with him, then fuck me.
Well, if you like his, you hit the like button. If you like mine, you hit the subscribe. That's all there's to it. Yeah.
Timmy. Okay, so we're going to start with category number 1. We have visuals and graphics. You go ahead. What did you think of the visuals for the game?
Some of the visuals and the art design, I was blown away by some of the characters, and specifically, I've been talking about it all week. Ferritor, I mean, just a great character, top down, like the art style and everything that they put into it.
That's your example for.
It is. It's a great character.
You pick the worst character in the game to.
He is.
to define the graphic.
They are hands down the worst character in the game. But no, the art design more so than the graphics for that one. They brought in some great characters with it. And then, you know, in terms of just the graphic side of things, it's pretty awesome 99% of the time.
It looks great. Yeah. So, first of all, I think the UI that it had from previous MK games, they were very kind of complicated and colorful. This one, they've really stripped down the UI and is very basic, so to speak. Very minimalistic is the word I'm looking for, which I actually like a lot. They got rid of the green light bars, they just have the white bars now. Yeah. The UI is very simplistic, the menu screens are easy to navigate. But the graphics for a fighting game are currently right now unmatched. Like they're top notch. They look great.
So crisp. Yeah.
Which was something I was really worried about when the game first was launched or announced at E3 last year. I was like, yeah, they look just the same as MK9 did. But then obviously polishing and everything, it looks light years better than the last game did.
Oh, you put them side by side, and MK9 looks like it's from 10 years ago.
It totally does.
It's so dated now.
Absolutely. So the graphics are great. The visual, the art direction, everything I think is top notch. And of course in the crypt you can unlock concept art. You can see kind of how they got there. Now, some of the concept art that I've seen, I disagree with their final choices of art direction. Like some of the characters, I'm like, well, that earlier design was a lot cooler.
Oh, I kind of wish they would have went with that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think everything looks good. So, me personally, I give it a full point for.
Oh, I would absolutely award a full point.
For visuals, absolutely. So the next category we want to talk about is the gameplay and the controls of it. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of the game.
Especially for a fighting game.
Especially for a fighting game.
If a fighting game doesn't have decent controls, then it's over.
Absolutely. The game does run at a full 1080p and 60 frames per second, kind of back on the visual side, but the 60 frames per second really helps the control of the game because you need to be precise with your fighting games. What do you think of the overall controls?
The stock controls right out of the box are just like you would hope for any fighting game. I mean, you know, perfect control, inputs are smooth. One of the nice advantages, of course, for any competitive fighter is you need to be able to customize those controls, and you can create different presets, you know, for each person and each fighting style if you want to, you know, change where your buttons are at. Inputs are pretty sharp. They do drop online a little bit, sadly, but otherwise, I mean, it's just dial it up and watch the combo flow. My
beef with it is the game comes stock with release check and easy inputs turned on, which is baffling because it makes the game harder to play, and I think it's a universal amongst pro players that you turn that shit off immediately. When you power up the game, you go with your presets, you turn off release check or negative edge, and easy inputs, which. So for the first couple days, I didn't know that they were defaulted on, so I had a hard time pulling out combos. Like, for example, for Killer Instinct for Xbox One, anybody that's never played the game can jump in and start busting out 14-hit combos. Like, it's very intuitive for newer players.
Oh, yeah.
Mortal Kombat, I feel like, it's hard to really jump in and get started. Like, everybody's got their preset 3-hit combos and stuff, but to really string anything together to win, you really have to spend some time with it, and you have to turn off those options. The fact that those are left on really kind of bummed me out because a lot of people aren't going to even know what that is or know that they're left on to begin with, so they're going to struggle
And
trying to
you
land
fear
combos.
turning them off. I mean, like the words that are used there are very specific to fighting games. Like if you're a Madden player and you were reading your presets about negative edge, you're like, I'm not going to touch that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
You'd actually have to do research, which a casual player will not do.
But gameplay wise,
I say, which does work out to wins for us online. So,
yeah.
thanks, casual scorpions.
But otherwise, other than the controls, I think the gameplay is great. It runs really smooth. It's fluent, and it's a beautifully handled game for gameplay wise. But that negative edge thing, I have to give it half a point probably for that, because that really made me struggle for the first couple days, and I can only imagine how it makes other players struggle who aren't familiar with the Mortal Kombat franchise.
I'll give it a full point, but I had to spend a lot of time in the lab. I had to figure it out before I knew to flip off the negative edge, and then I kind of had to figure out my combos again after. And part of the reason that I really like it is if I mess up a combo, I know sometimes that was my fault. Like my input wasn't smooth enough.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that's on me, and I know that the game knows exactly what it's looking for. So I give it a full point for that.
Okay.
It knows
That's
what
our
it knows
first
what it
differing
wants.
opinion there.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our third category, we're going to go into modes and variety of just different facets to the game to play.
Right.
So obviously you have numerous single-player modes. There's a story mode. There is just traditional towers that a single player could play. You get your classic arcade tower, and then there's...
I mean, I hope these are just like listing over top of us, because there are so many modes in this game, which is amazing. If you don't like one portion of this game, there's still like another half of the game for you to play and enjoy.
Yeah. And then there's the single player towers, there's the living towers, in which it has the different challenges. And of course, then they have the faction battles, so where you pick your faction at the beginning, which turns into a whole meta game. That even if you're not an online player, you still participate, and it's a unique.
Yeah, you're still awarded faction points, so you feel like you're definitely a part of something.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, although it's very unbalanced. Everybody wants to fucking be Lin Kuei. All the other factions.
I'm sure they have something up their sleeve to balance that.
Well, they
out.
have to, but right now, at the time of this filming, Lin Kuei's got almost half of the user base.
Well, and because it basically tells a story. I mean, down the road they might remove a faction and bring in another faction.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, bring in like Baraka's little crew or something like that. And I think that'll just continue to keep that rotating. But it's still fun. Even if you lose, you still get points, and you're part of something that's outside of the normal game.
And that's not even counting the actual online mode. So online, there's the King of the Hill mode, and then there's a couple different modes for that. There's the Survivor and the Classic. Then there's your basic 1v1 ranked. There's tower battles where all your friends can get into. It's just and
you can challenge all your friends and stuff
challenge all
as
your
well.
friends
And
and
points.
do all the test your luck modes.
Test your luck and test your might. I did
Test
that
your
last
might.
night. It's so hard on the last one.
You got to get a pen, old school, and over the buttons.
Oh, so what I did is I flipped my PS4 controller upside down on the final one. This is not a lie. And I took all four of my fingers on the face pads to get them going, and then when I got it into green, I just hit my mouth. I just used my jaw and hit it and finally broke like the final statue. And I was like, damn, that was hard.
But mode-wise, full point.
Absolutely.
There's so much content for a person to play in this game. You can't go wrong.
Right. And that actually brings us into our next point, which is the Netcode Online. And to speak to that
functionality.
Yeah, I mean, we'll kind of get into the online play for it. I don't enjoy the online play a whole lot, but there's so many other modes and variety that keeps me coming back every single day for hours on end. But into the online,
Netcode.
The
Netcode. I hate to say it, I was hoping for the best. It's pretty trash.
It's garbage.
So MK9's Netcode was notably pretty bad. Very, very, very sluggish. Very. And in Injustice, their netcode was kind of bad, and so everyone was real nervous about how they were going to do, and I feel like they kind of let everyone down with that. It's just as bad as it always has been. Games, so I could pull off a 14-hit, 36% combo offline, no problem, right? I get online. Now, I get nervous when I play online, so that could be a factor too, but the lag and the sluggishness of it, you can't pull off your combos because your inputs are gone.
It drops your input.
Yeah.
If there's any bit of lag, it just cuts off the back half of your input. So you're like, da-da-da, and then you just stop and stare at the guy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and then they punish.
And then they punish the hell out of you for it.
Yeah. Like the jump up, the cross-ups where you jump over and then you punch them.
Yeah.
I could not, for the life of me, I was playing online with another buddy, so we were just testing shit out. I couldn't even jump over and punch him. Because I'd jump over and I press the punch button, but then I'd be just cut to being on the ground.
Right.
Like it would miss the whole animation. I'm like, yeah, the netcode is hands down for me the worst part of the game. It's bad, and just yesterday they released a patch for it, and I haven't got a chance to try it. So it might be improved by now. By the time this,
it's probably
out.
not actually. I was reading about that all morning, and they're actually saying that it's rendering worse as of this morning.
That's good.
Which is not great, guys. You had a bad thing. You made it worse.
So they really need to. They need to attack.
It needs attention.
Yeah.
Absolutely needs attention. If they fix that, then you might be looking at one of the best fighting games ever. And I don't care what comes out in the next 10 years. This one will still make the mark. But
Absolutely.
right now, that's terrible. It's a miss for me. No points.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no points for me either there. They missed the mark with that. But moving on to our next category for sound design and music. It's interesting. So the sound design, I've got two parts of this I want to talk about. The sound design, like the sounds of the punches, the effects, the sound of the gore, the gurgling of the blood. Like Kotal Khan when he takes his giant sword and like saws through you, like you could hear the ripples of the as it's sawing through you. Like the sound design is phenomenal. It's perfect. But on the flip side,
it adds to the experience for sure.
Oh, most certainly.
Really,
and the
that
punches
visceral feel,
hit hard. It's great. I can't complain about that. The music, is just awful to me. Mortal Kombat's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 all had phenomenal scores. Like the sounds were very Oriental and Asian themed and huge drums. And then when they kind of switched over to 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, now it's just like this drony orchestrated sounds which don't really evoke any beat the shit out of you emotions for me. So I don't care for the music in this entry either.
I'm kind of looking at the music a little bit different because I mean it is a fighting game and it's supposed to have kind of a backstory to it. And it's two people just fighting in the street. So, when two people typically fight in the street, there's not music. So I don't necessarily need it.
Maybe you're fighting the wrong battles.
I don't know what bar fight you got into. So there's that. But on the other hand, the thing that's cool about the music is you can unlock all of it in the crypt, and you can go back and like listen to it individually, and it's really subtle. But it's not gonna wow you. You're not gonna want to listen to the, you're not gonna type in like Mortal Kombat soundtrack for Pandora.
I will appreciate that Dan Ford and crew made it a dynamic soundtrack, so it changes per round, like kind of gets more intense, but ultimately forgettable. So sound design, I'm all for. Music in the game, I'm not for, so I give it a half a point for that.
And I'd probably do the same. I like what they did with the music, where they made it more accessible.
Agreed.
So it sucks to give it a half a point for that, but. You guys missed on the music a little bit.
Agreed. So then we go to our next category, which is replay value and replayability. How long can we keep coming back to this game before we're ready to move on to Street Fighter V, say? For me, it probably has the highest replay value of any MK game. They could have added more to it in the sense of, I don't like how there wasn't a lot of unlockable characters. Like I like back harkens to the days of MK Deception where half your cast was
Deadly Alliance, same thing. Yeah,
and
you had to go to the crypt and you had to find it.
Yeah, so cool, but
and you're like concerned about like which one of the tombstones got Liu Kang or whatever. You're like, where's this guy at? Come on, yeah.
But aside from the fact that there's not a whole lot to unlock, the crypt is massive, and the crypt in itself is a fun game by itself. But there's just not a lot in there really content-wise to add to the experience other than unlocking fatalities and stuff. But replayability, like every character minus Ferrator is super digestible and like has something to offer to the games, plus the variation system. I've already now put in well over 24 hours into the game. And I don't see that letting up anytime soon until Witcher 3 comes out.
It's great if you have a little bit of ADD and short memory. I mean, it's really nice to be able to jump in there and you could play this game for 5 minutes and run away from it again, or you can sit and play for 6 hours. So it's really nice in those small digestible bites because you don't always have like an hour and a half to sit down and game sometimes.
Right.
You just want like a quick experience. You jump in, throw off a couple combos. I mean, you could even jump online for a few matches
and then lag yourself to a victory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or just uppercut your way to one.
Yeah, ugh. Scorpion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, I think the replay value is huge. There's lots to do, and it keeps me coming. I'm a little bummed out that the single player story only took me 4 hours because it was such a good story for me that I was really like, fuck, I want more. There were some things that I wish that they kind of would have embellished upon more to maybe add a couple more hours with more character development, I'm still going to go through and play the story at least maybe one more time. So
I will again, and I'll probably do it again on a harder difficulty as well, because I don't think I lost a match throughout the entire thing, so I was like, I'll probably want to up that a little bit. The replay value is added by the living towers, and the daily challenges and the hourly challenges. I mean, if you jumped in, there's a challenge that exists right now in this hour. So you jump in, you play it, you jump away, and it's like, oh, that was really cool.
Plus, they have the DLC. They have Jason Voorhees coming out soon. I had a chance to try to ask him a couple questions too.
Really?
Yeah. We'll talk
I'd be curious
about
to hear what that guy has to say.
So they have the DLC. So they got a lot of stuff, and hopefully they continue to support the game via character DLC down the road for the next few months. I give that a full point for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much there. Our next topic comes from cost value, and I call this the movie factor. And this is something I've been using to review games for a very long time. If you go to the movies, let's say it's $8 for 2 hours, right?
Unfortunately, though, where you live, it's $8. The rest of the world, it's like $10.
We're still within a dollar frame. Just deal with my math. Okay. So I'm looking for maybe like a $4 to $5 an hour value when I get a game. So if I spend $60 on a game and I play it for 8 hours, I lost out. I feel like I didn't get my money out of it. But if I can get 20 hours out of it, I'm at least the value of a movie, right? And that's kind of the standard and has been, since 60s, 70s or so. And it works for me because it typically falls in line with, hey, that was a pretty good game. I actually had some fun doing it. I won't force playing something if it's terrible. Right? So the movie factor for this game, for me, I think I'm almost already there in its first week of release.
Oh yeah, well I surpassed it.
You're over it now.
I surpassed it.
Yeah, you're into a longer movie.
Couple days. Yeah, now I'm into like a Schindler's List type shit.
Yeah, it's like Titanic for you right now. Yeah.
But yeah, based on your category of movie factor, I've gotten my money's worth out of it by far.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I definitely give it a full point for that. And I'll continue playing it too.
The full worth of $60 for me. For our one of our last categories is the friend factor. How does it stand to be able to sit and play with friends either via online or couch co-op? Like, is there incentive to be able to experience it with your friends, or do you feel like it's more of a single player experience?
This game, it's a fighting game. I mean, it's player one versus
gives
player two.
Right there,
obviously, just the type of game it is. This encourages you to want to get your friends involved in it. I've been trying to get all my friends on PS4 to get it, and all your friends on Xbox One have been like, Tim, just go buy an Xbox One. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get into this game for like $700, like when everything's said and done. But it really is. It's one of those games that you want people on the couch with you, which, couch co-op is dead, and it sucks. Because there's nothing better in the world than just sitting on the couch with your buddy for a few hours.
And just chilling and
eating a slice of pizza, drinking a beer, and you're just hanging out, having a good time. So to have a great couch co-op experience, I love. You want your friends around. We're texting back and forth all day about combos that we just linked together and stuff.
This is probably the most involved with my friends I've been in the game in a very long time. Like it's.
We played King of the Hill the other day.
We played King of the Hill for like 6 hours. Yeah. I've been playing online with friends. I've been playing online with strangers.
And you can challenge a friend.
Yeah.
So that's really cool because you can say, hey, here's my score, try and beat it. So there's additional engagement there outside of, social media or text messaging. The friend factor is absolutely a +1.
It's very high.
Yeah.
Oh, +1 for sure.
Good job, guys.
So this kind of brings us to our last segment of the review. Just kind of like an overall, everything like what the last standing taste that the game left in your mouth before you sat down to play the review. With our final scores, it's hard for me to objectively review this game because Mortal Kombat is arguably my favorite franchise of all time.
It's just good to know where you come from. You're a fighting guy. Mortal Kombat's the thing. This kind of gives you a baseline. People are like, well, of course he's gonna buy this game. He's bought all of them.
Yeah.
But that's not gonna impact how I think you would tell other people what they should do, because there's people who don't play fighting games. So would you suggest that person goes and buys it?
Yeah, I would. I would absolutely, because not only the mechanics, but I would suggest it because Mortal Kombat is deep in story and in lore that stretches a 25-year history almost. That is so digestible and fun to read into, and that where they've expanded into comic books and stuff. The story mode alone, I feel, is worth sitting down and playing, even if you're not familiar with it. It's well written, and the voice acting, while it falters at times, is Devorah's voice acting.
This
one enjoys the game.
Yeah, this one will buy the game. Yeah. And on the other hand, some of the voice acting is phenomenal in there too. So it goes
light years above what they were with Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah, this one I highly suggest this to people who aren't even maybe even just casual fans of fighters, because Street Fighter 4 was the last one where all my friends kind of went all in with me, and they're like, Tim, all right, I'm gonna let you beat me up for the next year or whatever. Let's get this game and get it going. And there was very little replay. The story mode was super bland, and
Street Fighter's never been a huge
kind of
story
reading
game.
it, but there's no lore. And I told some of my friends about the story mode on this, and their interest peaked. They were like, "Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? That might be kind of cool because you want to see that backstory to these characters that we've been following since."
Yeah, and if you're
93
new
or
to the
whatever.
franchise, the campaign, so to speak, if you would call it that, is short enough to be able to sit down and digest in 2 sittings. So you know, if you're not like huge, get the game and play the story mode and spend 4 hours doing it.
Yeah,
And then you'll probably be hooked enough to play the rest of the game.
it speaks to everybody. I think it's absolutely a buy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that category is worth 2 points. You give it a full 2.
Full 2 points. Yeah, I suggest buying it. I bought it, and you bought a couple of them.
Yeah.
So,
And I give it a 2 as well, which leaves us to our final scores. All right, so our final scores were tallied up. I give it a complete total of 8 out of 10. While the game is at its highest peak of a fighting game, it doesn't get any better currently than Mortal Kombat X in terms of fighting games. It still was made with flaws. Timmy, with his score totaled up, he gives it an 8.5 out of 10.
8.5. I loved it. Yeah, and hey, you guys fixed that online. We got ourselves a 9.5 right now.
Agreed. I totally agree. The online is the biggest fault that the game has right now.
Yeah.
Fix that, and then we can adjust our scores accordingly. I mean, I'm still gonna fucking be balls deep in Mortal Kombat's asshole for the next few weeks, but
I mean, either way, I will go on record right now and say it's the best fighting game to date.
agreed.
Yeah.
I would agree. And that's our review for Mortal Kombat X. We will have more reviews of more games coming up soon.
And a special interview. Look for the link.
Oh, that was bad. That was bad. That was good.
Better.
Okay. Bye.